Story of the Movies, Horror Month 2, Episode 17. Today, I will cover the second film in the Tremors series, Tremors 2, Aftershocks, years after the events of the first film. Val McKee has moved away and married Rhonda LeBeck, while Earl Bassett has squandered his fortune on a failing ostrich ranch. He is approached by Carlos Ortega, who informs him that graboids are killing his workers at his oil field in Chiapas, Mexico, and hires him to hunt them down. And Earl initially declines, but Ortega's taxi driver, Grady Hoover, convinces Earl to change his mind after mentioning that Ortega will pay $50,000 for each graboid killed. Both join the hunt. Upon arrival, Earl learns that the company would pay him double if he caught one of the creatures alive. He also meets geologist Kate Riley, her assistant Julio, and a mechanic named Pedro, all of whom are scientifically investigating the graboids. Earl and Grady begin systematically killing the graboids using remote-controlled cars rigged with explosives. Though their strategy seems to work, the vast number of graboids overwhelms them, and Earl enlists the help of Bert Gummer, who arrives with a deuce-and-a-half truck loaded with firearms and explosives. The next day, Earl and Grady are surprised by one of the graboids, causing them to drive backwards in a panic and crash the truck into a inclined ditch. Returning to where they saw the graboid, Earl and Grady find the creature looks sick and non-aggressive, with all of its tentacles mysteriously dead. Realizing they have one of the creatures alive, which Ortega offered $100,000 if accomplished. They call Pedro to come and pick them up along the graboid. However, the graboid later begins making horrific and painful sounds and is soon found dead with a huge hole torn open in its body. They see Pedro's truck approach from the distance, but it suddenly stops, prompting Grady and Earl to investigate and discover the truck's destroyed engine, as well as Pedro's remains. They make their way to a nearby radio broadcasting building, which has similarly been destroyed, only to be met by the strange bipedal graboid-like creatures. Earl successfully kills one as it charges him, but the two flee in a car they had found as more of the creatures arrive. Meanwhile, Bert's truck is ambushed by a pack of these new creatures while returning to base. The following morning, the creatures have made their way to the oil refinery, where Julio is violently killed by one. Grady and Earl arrive before it can attack Kate, with Bert shortly arriving thereafter following a near-fatal firefight that has left him drained of ammunition. Though experimentation, the group discovers that these creatures now dubbed Shriekers, are hermaphrodites that can replicate at an incredible rate after eating enough food. They also learn that the creatures cannot hear, unlike their predecessors, but rather see heat through a special infrared receptors on their heads. However, they are attacked by Shriekers who have discovered Bert's MRE food supply and have rapidly doubled their numbers in a matter of minutes. They run for Julio's car, but Bert accidentally disables it while killing a Shrieker. Hiding from the Shriekers, Bert is trapped in a bulldozer bucket while Grady, Kate, and Earl are on top of an oil tower. The Shriekers work together in an attempt to climb the tower before Bert traps them in a storage shed with the truck. However, they discover rice flour is stored inside as well, enabling the Shriekers to continue eating and multiplying inside. Earl douses himself in CO2 from a fire extinguisher to hide his body heat and tries to find Bert's explosives amongst the Shriekers, who have multiplied in dozens of creatures. While the plan initially works, the CO2 quickly wears off, and the Shriekers detect his body heat, forcing Earl to throw the detonator among Bert's supplies before escaping. The group manages to escape before a massive explosion devastates the entire facility, destroying all of the Shriekers with it. In the aftermath, Earl and Kate decide to pursue each other romantically, while Grady suggests opening a monster-themed park due to the money Ortega now owes them. Next time on Story of the Movies Horror Month 2, it is episode 18 and came out 5 years later, Tremors 3, Back to Perfection. Until next time, listeners, stay safe and peace. This is Roan, signing off.